Brooklyn?
Remember that time Kate Winslet dragged Jim Carrey onto a frozen lake at night, the ice cracking beneath them while she laughed and he panicked? That's how Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind introduced us to Joel and Clementine in 2004, two people whose relationship was so toxic they paid to have each other erased from their memories. Directed by Michel Gondry from Charlie Kaufman's script, the film trapped us inside Joel's collapsing mind as memories vanished. Kirsten Dunst, Mark Ruffalo, and Elijah Wood played the tech crew, performing the procedure, but the chaos on screen was nothing compared to what happened behind the camera. Today, we're counting down 15 weird facts about Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and stick around for number 1, because it involves a director who asked his heartbroken leading man to do something truly unhinged for an entire year that Carrey later said, "That's how fucked up this business is." Let's get into it. Number 15, the studio wanted to erase Kate Winslet. Kate Winslet won the role of Clementine because she was the only actress brave enough to criticize Charlie Kaufman's script instead of kissing up to him.
Never shop at Barnes & Noble.
Sure.
That's it!
Yeah?
I've seen you, man!
But after she was cast, an actress who just won an Oscar caught the studio's attention. They wanted Gondry to replace Winslet with this mystery Oscar winner. His response? He threatened to walk from the entire project. Charlie Kaufman won't say who the actress was out of professional courtesy, but the timing points to either Nicole Kidman, who won Best Actress for The Hours in early 2003, or Halle Berry, who made history winning for Monsters Ball in 2002. Either way, Gondry wasn't having it. He'd found his Clementine, and no amount of studio pressure was going to change that. Winslet stayed, the movie got made, and she earned an Oscar nomination for the role. Sometimes the casting you fight for is the casting that matters. Number 14, Nicolas Cage, almost starred in your favorite breakup movie. Before Jim Carrey ever considered erasing Kate Winslet from his memory, Nicolas Cage was Michel Gondry's original choice for Joel. Fresh off his Oscar-winning performance in Leaving Las Vegas, Cage was in high demand from independent directors who wanted his particular brand of emotional intensity. But that same demand meant he wasn't available when Eternal Sunshine needed him. So Gondry pivoted to Carrey, who was known for rubber-faced comedy, not restrained heartbreak. It was a gamble. Cage would have brought a totally different energy to Joel, more volatile, more unpredictable. Carrey brought something quieter and more relatable, a guy so ordinary that his pain felt universal. 2 decades later, it's hard to imagine anyone else in that role, but somewhere in the multiverse, there's a version of this movie where Nicolas Cage is the one lying on that frozen lake, and it probably hits very, very differently. Number 13, Kate Winslet's daily hair circus. Clementine's constantly changing hair color became iconic. Green, red, orange, blue, each shade marking a different chapter of her relationship with Joel. But Kate Winslet didn't dye her hair even once. She wore wigs, lots of them.
Excuse me? Can I help you find something, sir?
Because the film wasn't shot in sequence, Winslet sometimes needed different colors on the same day. Red hair in the morning, blue after lunch, back to red by dinner. The wigs were crafted by wigmaster Peter Owen using yarn dye instead of hair color dye, with natural roots built in so they looked like real over-processed hair. Winslet later said her favorite was the red one. And the best part? She kept all the wigs when filming wrapped. Her kids now play with them at home, running around the house in the same rainbow hair that made Clementine unforgettable. Number 12, the improv king who couldn't improvise. Jim Carrey built his entire career on improvisation.
I'm in my bed. I know it. My brain.
I'm part of your imagination too, Joel. How can I help you from there? I'm inside your head.
Ace Ventura, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber. Those performances exploded because Carrey was allowed to run wild. So when he showed up to Eternal Sunshine expecting the same freedom, Michel Gondry shut him down completely. Everyone else on set could improvise. Elijah Wood and Mark Ruffalo riffed constantly. Carrey and Winslet developed much of their dialogue through videotaped rehearsal sessions, where they shared real stories about their own relationships and heartbreaks. But during actual filming, Gondry forbade Carrey from going off script. The restriction was intentional. Gondry needed Joel to feel restrained, ordinary, stuck. So he kept Carrey off balance by giving misleading directions and rolling cameras at unexpected times. Carrey objected, but Gondry held firm. The result? One of Carrey's most vulnerable, controlled performances. Turns out the best way to get something different from Jim Carrey is to tell him he can't be Jim Carrey. Number 11. That train punch was real. In the opening scene on the train, Clementine playfully punches Joel goodbye. It's a sweet, spontaneous moment that tells you everything about her impulsive energy.
You know, this is...
Oh, hey. Take care then.
Jesus.
Except it wasn't in the script. Kate Winslet actually punched Jim Carrey without warning him. His reaction, that surprised, slightly hurt expression, is completely genuine. He had no idea it was coming. Gondry loved it so much he kept it in the film. It's a tiny moment, barely noticeable, but it's the kind of authentic detail that makes their relationship feel lived in and real. And honestly, if you're going to get punched on camera, might as well let it become iconic. Number 10. Grey's Anatomy before Grey's Anatomy. Ellen Pompeo appears in Eternal Sunshine, sort of. She filmed an entire subplot as Naomi, Joel's ex-girlfriend, who he briefly considers getting back together with after Clementine dumps him. They shot multiple scenes. Pompeo was on set. The footage exists somewhere, but when the final cut came together, every single frame of her performance hit the cutting room floor. This was shot just before Pompeo landed her star-making role on Grey's Anatomy in 2005. According to Jim Carrey, Gondry cast Pompeo because she resembled Renee Zellweger, Carrey's recent ex. The resemblance was intentional. Gondry wanted real emotional tension on set. Carrey later admitted he was hurt by the casting choice, but ultimately agreed that cutting Naomi's scenes was the right call. The chemistry between him and Pompeo was almost too good, competing with the Joel and Clementine relationship. In the final film, Naomi exists only as a name mentioned in passing and a voice on an answering machine. Everything else? Erased. Number 9. The elephant in the room was an actual elephant. One of the film's most surreal and heartbreaking moments happens when Joel and Clementine stumble across an elephant parade moving through the streets. They watch together, Joel trying to hold on to the memory while Clementine slowly fades from it. It's dreamlike, impossible, perfect. It was also completely unplanned. The production crew happened to be filming nearby when a real circus parade came through. Gondry saw it, grabbed his cameras, and told Carrey and Winslet to react. Their responses are genuine wonder mixed with confusion. But here's the part that makes it even better. Gondry's favorite shot from that sequence is when Joel looks around searching for Clementine after she vanishes. That wasn't acting. Gondry had pulled Kate Winslet away without telling Carrey. His sad, confused expression as he searches for her, that's Jim Carrey genuinely looking for his co-star, not knowing where she went. Reality and memory blurred together, and Gondry captured it all. Number 8. Mother Nature saved the frozen lake scene. That iconic image of Joel and Clementine lying on cracked ice became the emotional and visual centerpiece of the entire film. But it almost didn't happen. The script called for snow and ice, but Gondry was prepared to completely rework the scene if the weather didn't cooperate. He wasn't going to fake it with movie magic snow machines. Luckily, New York had a brutal winter that year. The lake froze solid. The ice cracked naturally. The conditions were perfect. Carrey and Winslet lay down next to that massive crack in the ice, and cinematographer Ellen Kuras captured one of the most memorable images in 21st century cinema. Pure luck. If that winter had been mild, we'd be talking about a completely different scene, and the film's most recognizable moment might not exist. Number 7. Hiding light bulbs like a cinematic scavenger hunt. Michel Gondry insisted on shooting Eternal Sunshine using only available light. No big Hollywood movie lights, just natural light and practical sources like lamps. This created a massive problem for cinematographer Ellen Kuras, who still needed enough light to actually see the actors. Her solution? hide light bulbs everywhere. Kouros and her team cut holes in lampshades, tucked bulbs behind furniture, and built what they jokingly called the mini Musco, essentially a C-stand with 4 clip lights and black wrap. They used refrigerator bulbs, hand dimmers, anything they could conceal. It became a game of hide and seek. Where can we stash a 250-watt bulb so Gondry doesn't notice? The entire film was lit with hidden clip lights and smuggled illumination. Gondry wanted authenticity. Kouros gave it to him while secretly making sure the movie was actually visible. The result looks natural, intimate, and real. But behind every frame was a cinematographer playing the world's most stressful game of hide the evidence. Number 6. The movie that hated CGI. In 2004, CGI was everywhere. The Lord of the Rings had just wrapped, Spider-Man was swinging through theaters, and digital effects were becoming the default. Michel Gondry said no to all of it. Eternal Sunshine used minimal computer-generated imagery, relying instead on practical effects, in-camera tricks, and old-school film techniques. When Clementine slides backward across the floor at Grand Central Station and vanishes into darkness, the crew literally pulled Kate Winslet with wires. When books in the bookstore slowly turn blank as Joel's memory fades, they built sets where the spines could actually rotate. When the beach house gets swallowed by the ocean, they built a real house on the Montauk shore and let the tide wash it away. The special effects team Gondry originally hired refused to place the set in the water, calling it too dangerous. Gondry fired them and had the cast, crew, and producers do it themselves. The union chief reprimanded him in front of everyone. He didn't care. The house got destroyed, the shot got made, no CGI required. Number 5. 2 gyms, no special effects. There's a scene where Joel, trapped inside his own memory, watches himself meeting with Dr. Mierzwiak earlier that day. 2 Joels in the same room. You'd assume some digital trickery, right? Nope. Jim Carrey did it the hard way. He'd film one part of the scene, quickly remove his hat and jacket, sit in the chair, and film the other angle. Then they'd reverse it. Back and forth, costume changes between every take, no time for breaks. It's exhausting just thinking about it. But Gondry wanted everything done practically, and Carrey committed. The result is seamless. Most viewers never question it. It looks effortless. But behind that effortless illusion was an actor speed-changing clothes like a one-man theater production, while the cameras kept rolling. Number 4. The ending that almost destroyed us. The ending we got. Joel and Clementine listening to their Lacuna tapes, hearing all the terrible things they said about each other, then choosing to try again anyway with that heartbreaking okay, is perfect. But Charlie Kaufman's original script was much, much darker. The first draft began 50 years in the future. An elderly woman tries to publish a manuscript titled Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, a tell-all expose about Lacuna. That woman is revealed to be Mary, Kirsten Dunst's character, still working for Dr. Mierzwiak decades later. The script then reveals that Joel and Clementine have erased each other at least 15 times over the years, caught in an endless cycle. They meet, fall in love, break up, erase, repeat, forever. The final scene shows an elderly Clementine coming in to erase an elderly Joel once again. Roll credits. That version would have gutted audiences. Instead of hope, we'd have gotten existential horror. The cycle never ends. Love is futile. Kaufman and Gondry ultimately pulled back from that bleakness, giving us ambiguity instead of despair. But somewhere in a drawer, that darker ending still exists, waiting to break your heart in a completely different way. Number 3, an art experiment that became a love story. The entire concept for Eternal Sunshine started with artist Pierre Bismuth listening to a friend complain about her boyfriend. Again, for the 100th time. Finally, Bismuth asked her a simple question. If you could erase him from your memory, would you? She said yes, without hesitation. That answer sparked an idea. Bismuth wanted to conduct an art experiment where he'd send cards to people telling them that someone they knew had erased them from their memory. He'd study their reactions, document the emotional fallout, use it as performance art, but he never actually did it. Instead, he mentioned the concept to his friend Michel Gondry, who immediately saw the potential for a story. They developed it together, brought in Charlie Kaufman to write the screenplay, and turned an abandoned art project into one of the most emotionally devastating films ever made. The three of them won the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay, all because Bismuth got tired of hearing his friend complain and wondered what would happen if memories could be deleted like files on a computer. Number 2. Tracy Morgan was too Tracy Morgan. Before 30, rock made Tracy Morgan a household name. He appeared in Eternal Sunshine, or he was supposed to. Morgan filmed multiple scenes as Joel's neighbor in flashback sequences. The footage exists. But when Gondry and the editors reviewed it, they realized the problem immediately. Tracy Morgan is Tracy Morgan. You can't watch Tracy Morgan and not think about Tracy Morgan. His presence became a distraction. Every time he appeared on screen, audiences would pull out of Joel's memories and think about SNL sketches instead of staying emotionally present. So despite Morgan being comedically brilliant, Gondry and Carrey both called him a genius, every frame got cut. He's completely absent from the final film. Morgan himself apparently doesn't even remember if he was in the movie or not. Sometimes being too recognizable to yourself means you can't disappear into someone else's story. Number 1. The director who asked Jim Carrey to stay broken. In 2002, Jim Carrey's relationship with Renee Zellweger ended. They'd met on the set of Me, Myself, and Irene, fallen hard, and split painfully. Carrey was devastated, and then he sat down for lunch with Michel Gondry to discuss Eternal Sunshine. Gondry looked at Carrey and said something unforgettable. In Carrey's own words from the 2017 documentary Jim and Andy, Gondry told him, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful. You are so beautiful right now. You're so broken. I love this. Please don't get well." The movie wasn't shooting for another year, so Gondry asked Carrey not to recover from his breakup. Stay in that pain. Stay in that heartbreak. Don't heal. For an entire year. And apparently Carrey did it. He stayed broken. He lived inside that emotional devastation because his director asked him to, because the role required it, because that's what the film needed. When Carrey recounted the story years later, he laughed, but his conclusion was dead serious. That's how this business is. Gondry later confirmed the conversation, saying Carrey's emotional state was so beautiful, so broken, that it would be perfect for Joel. Meanwhile, Gondry allegedly cast Ellen Pompeo as Joel's ex because she resembled Zellweger, adding another layer of real emotional tension. Carrey was hurt by that choice, but the pain was useful. It bled into every scene. This isn't method acting. This is a director asking an actor to pause his own healing, to marinate in his worst emotions, to weaponize his grief for art. And it worked. Carrey's performance is raw, vulnerable, and utterly believable. You feel Joel's heartbreak because Carrey was living his own, but at what cost? And there you have it. 15 weird facts about Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, a film that asked what we'd give up to stop hurting and then showed us exactly what we'd lose. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, or memory erasure lane, make sure you're subscribed for more deep dives into the movies and shows we'll never forget. And remember, even the painful memories matter. Until next time, this is Remember When, and we'll see you in the next one.